A group of friends made their way up the hill, eager to enjoy a peaceful afternoon. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the forest below them. The air was crisp and the landscape stretched out in a magnificent panorama. It was the perfect place to hang out and relax. "We should head to the cliff," Ethan suggested, pointing toward a rocky outcrop that offered a breathtaking view of the valley. "Sounds good," Caitlin replied, adjusting her backpack. "It's been a while since we came up here." The group of 5 friends made their way to the edge of the cliff, where the land dropped steeply below them. The view was stunning, but something felt different today. It wasn't the view itself, something about the air, the space around them felt heavy. As they settled down to sit and talk, their attention was drawn to something unexpected. Just a few feet from the cliff's edge, almost hidden by the dense undergrowth, there was an old stone structure. It looked like a well, but the stones were crumbling and overgrown with moss. "Is that a well?" Caitlin asked, squinting at the structure. "Don't remember ever seeing it here before." Ethan, always the curious one, wandered over to get a closer look. "It looks pretty old. Let's check it out." The others followed reluctantly, unsure of why the well felt so out of place. It was eerie. The stones were chipped and weathered, and the opening seemed unnaturally deep. As Ethan leaned over the edge to peer inside, a soft whisper caught their attention. It was faint at first, but it quickly grew clearer. "Help, please help me." The voice was soft, almost childlike. It sent a chill through the group. Caitlin took a step back, her heart beginning to race. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I heard it," said Jake, the most skeptical of them all. "It's probably just an animal or the wind. Nothing to worry about." But as they all stood there, the voice grew louder. It began to sound more desperate, more pleading. "Please, I'm trapped, help me." Ethan, still curious but now a little unnerved, said, "I'm going to check it out. Let me see what's down there." "Are you sure?" Caitlin asked, concern rising in her voice. "Maybe we should just leave." But Ethan was already removing his jacket, tying it to the rope-like vines that grew around the well. "What's the worst that can happen? It's probably nothing," he reassured them. He lowered himself down into the darkness, and the others stood at the edge, waiting in silence. As Ethan descended, the voice from the well grew louder, more urgent, and now distorted. "Come closer, come to me," it called, its pitch darkening. Ethan hesitated, feeling a shiver run down his spine. "That doesn't sound right," he muttered to himself, but he kept going. When he finally reached the bottom, the air seemed to grow colder, the atmosphere heavy with something wrong. The voice, which had started off innocent, now seemed to twist, becoming more guttural, more frightening. Ethan's hand shook as he pulled out his lighter to spark some light, hoping to see better in the oppressive darkness. The tiny flame illuminated his surroundings for a moment, just long enough for him to notice movement in the shadows. Something was stirring at the base of the well. He spun around, his heart racing, only to be met with something strange. In the dim light, he could make out the silhouette of a figure, a person. No, it was something much worse. The figure was hunched, its limbs twisted in unnatural ways. The face, once human, was distorted and malformed, with hollow eyes staring back at him. Before he could react, the figure lunged forward, its mouth opening impossibly wide. The light flickered, and in that brief moment, Ethan screamed, but it was quickly swallowed by the darkness. Above, the group heard the scream echoing up from the well. "Ethan!" Caitlin cried, panic rising in her voice. "What's happening down there?" Jake asked, already pulling at the rope to bring Ethan back up. But it was too late. The rope went slack, and they heard only eerie silence. Caitlin peered down into the well, her heart pounding. "We need to get help now." But something stopped her. In the stillness, she heard the voice again, only now it was no longer a child's plea for help. It was mocking, filled with malevolence. "Help me take my place. They're coming for you." Caitlin stumbled back in horror. "We need to leave," she whispered urgently. The others, too terrified to argue, turned to go, but none of them would forget what they had heard. When they finally made it back to the car, they were shaken, unable to speak of the horrors they had experienced. In the following days, they researched the area, trying to find some explanation. What they discovered was chilling. Years ago, a young girl had gone missing near the well. Local legends spoke of a father who had thrown his daughter into the well, sentencing her to die in the darkness below. The girl's body had never been found. but her cries for help had been heard by those brave or foolish enough to venture near the well. But the darkness had consumed her, and now her twisted form had claimed yet another soul.